Contender, pretender, Big Hawk. We're going to do conference edition because we're getting down to the short rows here, trying to figure out what's going on, who's going to make the tournament, who's not. All right. That's one thing. That's one piece of this whole puzzle. But there's a lot of chatter about conferences. Which conference is good? Which conference isn't good? So this is a special edition contender, pretender conference edition. And basically the concept is this. I'm going to give you 5 conferences. Well, really 4.1. You'll see, guess who that conference is. I'm going to give you these conferences, and you're just going to tell me whether you think they're a contender or a pretender. That doesn't mean that you're saying that the national champion is coming from this conference, because then you wouldn't have but one contender, right? The point is like, are they going to make any noise? How are we feeling about, hey, could some Final Four teams come out of this conference? So you okay with that? You ready?
I'm ready.
Big East.
All right, so we look at the Big East, and there's one dominant team, and we know about that. We have played them, and we've lost to UConn. UConn is the top dog in the Big East. They're a contender. The 2 other contenders are Marquette. I'm not as high on Marquette. They have a point guard, arguably one of the best point guards in the country. Tyler Kolek, he is fun to watch. They have a very dynamic player in Cam Jones. They are capable, but they have had some suspect losses, and they've been a little up and down. So I'm not as sold on Marquette as I am on UConn. Obviously, UConn to me is the best team in the country. After that, I'm going with the sleeper, and I consider this team a contender, and I think they're very capable. They have Tyler Kalkbrenner, who is from Missouri. He's one of the best big defensive players in the country. They have Baylor Shireman, who can score. They also have this point guard named Steven Ashton, who is a veteran 5th-year transfer. He can get it going. He's very savvy. He's playing well. Creighton can turn it on, and Creighton has experience, and they're an older team. They also have a kid named Trey Alexander, who is an NBA prospect. When you have NBA prospects surrounded by older players and talented players, I think your ceiling is very high. That's why I like Creighton. So those are my 3 teams from the Big East that can be contenders. 2 teams I'm sold on, 1 team I'm suspect, and that's Marquette.
Yeah, hard to pick against UConn right now, even though they got blown out, and so did Marquette, St. John's today. But I agree, Big 12.
The Big 12. All right, so here we go. There's 3 teams I like in the Big 12, and I'm briefly going to touch on all of them. Houston. Okay, Houston is a veteran team. They play hard-nosed defense, and they will beat you up. They're athletic, physical, and they play good defense, and they are a little bit older. They have experience. That's why I like them. I haven't been as confident on Houston, but the more I watch them play, the more I like them. So I'm rolling with Houston. And then Houston is my top dog in the Big 12, and that has been almost a 180 from what I've been saying about Houston.
Mm-hmm.
But finally, I've come around. I'm a believer. I've seen them play enough. I like them. The next team I'm going with is going to be a surprise, and that is Iowa State. I think Iowa State is a big, athletic, physical, smart basketball team. They play great defense, and they have a lot of wins, and they have a high net ranking. I'm not sure what it is, but they have a great resume. They have quality wins, and they continue to get better and better as the season goes on. Now, this one might surprise some people. My 3rd team in the Big 12 is Kansas. Kansas, I think, is the 3rd best team in the Big 12. Now, I think Bill Self is one of the best coaches. I like Hunter Dickinson. I like McCullough. I like DeJuan Harris. Forgetting one other player that's really good. But their starting 4 is as good as any starting 4 in the country. They lack depth, and they lack outside shooting. They're very suspect. And they've been a very sporadic team that has shown great flashes, but also they've shown some very bad flashes. And come tournament time, it just takes that one bad flash and you're Dunsky. That's why I'm rolling with Kansas at 3. My real contender in the Big 12, my pick is Houston, and I've finally become a believer.
Like it. I like it. Audible here. Omaha. Big 10. I know who you're coming out here.
There's only one team noteworthy in the Big 10, and that's Purdue. And every other team is not a contender. They will fall short. I think the Big 10 has really slid, and also they've been very suspect in the tournament. I will just say in the Big Ten, you only see one style of basketball, the bruise it, beat you up style of basketball. And to prepare for the tournament, you have to see multiple styles. And that's why I think the ACC historically has done so well. If you look at the teams, there's different styles you have to prepare for. You look at Syracuse, you have to prepare for a zone. Okay, then you go back to Clemson. The old Clemson, when I was there, you had to prepare for an up and down against a press. And then you go down to Florida State, a hard physical basketball team. There's many different styles in the ACC, and I think that prepares you for the tournament. The Big Ten, you have one style. A lot of teams get shocked, and they never really have the deep tournament run that a lot of people thought that the Big Ten teams would. The only contenders that is Purdue, and that's because they have Zack Edey, and Zack Edey is the best player in college basketball, the most dominant player in college basketball.
Yeah, he. I think I'll chip in a little bit here. Is that, you know, what's interesting to me about Edey and his role is, I mean, that's the one thing too. When you're in the NCAA tournament, you got 6 games, man. You got to click, right? And having a guy like that, nobody else has that, right? And that's also a big X factor when you're going up in teams, you know, don't have anything to counter. So I think his importance is magnified in a tournament setting. SEC.
Okay, the SEC. I almost put 3 teams. I almost put Auburn in there. I'm not a believer in Auburn. I do not think they're a contender. A lot of people will argue with me. I actually do not like the SEC. I think there's one contender, and that's Kentucky. But I'm going to throw in Tennessee because I think Tennessee has shown some flashes. And also I like Dalton Connect. He's been a player he's a transfer, and he has gone from an unknown to arguably a top 10 draft pick in the NBA. He's had an incredible season. He can light it up. He can get hot. And also they have another guard, Zakai Ziegler, who tore his ACL last year, didn't really have the start to the year, you know, coming off that injury, but looks like he's got some momentum lately, and he's been playing well. He's been providing Tennessee with a big spark. That is the only reason I have them as a contender. And my thought is a little skewed with Tennessee. We absolutely destroyed them in the Smith Center, dog-walked them, and we made them look so bad where I just don't see that team being a deep tournament run team. But based off of what they've done against everybody else, I'm going to add them as a contender. So SEC, 2 schools, Kentucky and Tennessee, watch out.
Merry Christmas, Big Blue Nation. Okay? You guys are freak shows, man. Big Hawk is unbiased news source, okay? Get it right. Next up, Pac-12.
Pac-12. What is a Pac-12? There's only one team in the Pac-12. All right.
Pac-1.
Yeah, it's pretty soon.
Wolf.
Yeah, we're going to have a couple of them schools in the ACC. There's one school, and that is Arizona. Arizona's done, you know, they've had a tough strength of schedule outside of the Pac-12. That's why they've had a high net ranking, because every other team in the Pac-12 hasn't had the year or hasn't been, you know, quality team. And I will say Oregon's gotten a little strength, and there's some buzz around them, but I'm only a believer in Arizona. Omar Ballo is a big, who I probably just butchered his name. He's very strong. He's physical. He dominates the paint. Caleb Love, he's playing unbelievable. I do think that the transfer to Arizona really helped him, and it really helped us as well. I mean, you got to see, like, it worked out for both sides. And so I'm happy to see Caleb having a good year. I do think Arizona is a contender. They're athletic. They're well coached. They could make a deep tournament run. Man,
I hope. Look, dude, if can't even really think this way, but if things, let's just put it. I'm going to soften this statement a little bit. If things don't go well for Carolina, I'll be pulling for Caleb Love all day long, man. I hope I think he's resurrected his. It's hard to say he's resurrected his career. I guess after last year, you know, nobody had a lot going on, but man, he's a fun kid to watch play, man. I wish only the best for him. Obviously, if it's us and them in the final, I hope it beats stuffing out of them. Last but not least, what everybody came to see, the ACC.
The ACC, the best conference in the history of basketball, college basketball. There's no conference that has had the success that the ACC historically has had. and they never get the credit, but they continue to make deep tournament runs, whether it's Duke, whether it's UNC, whether it's Virginia, whether it's Miami. We are the most underrated, underappreciated conference in college basketball, and we will continue to dominate the NCAA tournament. Never forget it and always let them know. There's 3 contenders in the ACC. I could add some more, but I'm not because there's only 3 true contenders. I could form an argument for some other teams, but that wouldn't make me look too smart, and it's hard enough to do anyways. So the top dog, the Tar Heels, of course. We got the Tar Heels. They are the #1 team in the ACC. They can make a deep tournament run. We are a big believer. We're unbiased. I like our pieces. I like the way we're trending. Every time I feel like we've taken a step back, we bounce back and play better the next game. Hubert Davis, you got to give him a lot of credit, and the coaching staff. They've done an unbelievable job, and they've changed the perception. And after what they went through this year, unbelievable season. They're the top dog in the ACC. They're a contender. Moving next to Duke. Duke hasn't had the season that a lot of people thought they would have before the season started. A lot of people hyped them up just like they usually do because they didn't do their research. Listen, it just seems like everyone's going to say Duke's going to be good because Duke is Duke, and usually they are good. But I'm not as sold on Duke as a lot of people. I think they've had some odd losses. I don't think they've reached their ceiling. I think they have a high ceiling, and I do think that they have potential to make a deep tournament run. I don't think that this roster has played close to what they're capable of playing. You've got to give Filipowski a lot of credit. He is a dynamic big. And Jeremy Roach is an underrated guard. He can get you a bucket. He also has continued to give steady work throughout the whole year. I just don't think that they have the big physical bruiser down low. I don't think Ryan Young really cuts it. And I think this team needs that big. You saw it last year. Lively came on late in the year, really provided them with the spark. Lively went to the NBA. He's had a pretty good
well in NBA.
Yeah, he's had a pretty good rookie season. And it just shows you what defense and having a rim protector really does. And I think if they don't have that, I think Filipowski has to try to be a banger, and I think that wears him down. I don't think he's fit for that. So I think that's where they get vulnerable. But they do have athletic players, and they have players that have potential. That's why they're a scary team. They could make a run. John Shire, he's done a pretty good job at Duke. I mean, he's done a good job. Got to give him a little credit too. But my third team is Clemson. I think Clemson is a deadly team, and I didn't really like the perception that when we lost to Clemson at the Smith Center that we had a letdown, because I think that Clemson is a team that doesn't really get the respect. They have PJ Hall, unbelievable player. He can play at the NBA. He's dynamic. He can do inside and out, athletic, has size, and is strong. In Shefflin, he is a grinded out big. He is an X factor. He can make winning plays. And then Joe Girard, he's one of the best shooters in the country. I do think that Brad Burnell has done a good job with them, and I think they're capable of making a deep tournament run. If you look at what they did before the conference play started, a lot of people had them picked to win the ACC and make an argument to make a deep tournament run. I still think they're capable of that. I think they could win the ACC tournament, put themselves in good position. But I do like their potential. So the 3 contenders, UNC, Duke, and Clemson.
Yeah.